Well, hello again, guys, from here inside St James's Park. I'm going to try and be quick because the lawnmowers are being kept at bay on the opposite side of the pitch there, thanks to Anthony Gordon and Jacob Murphy going through a post-match routine there. And yeah, Anthony Gordon, one of the players who came off the bench, and I've just said to Eddie Howe downstairs there, have you ever in your time in 4 years at Newcastle now made 5 substitutions in the second half as strong as, I'm going to have to try and remember them, Joe Linton, Asula, Guimaraes, Gordon and Trippier? Doesn't that speak to the strength and depth and the competition and the options he's got right now? And the other question I asked of Eddie was, for all of the talk of priorities and 3 home games in a week in 3 different competitions, at least all of the debate that exists in my mind, surely your response now says, given 3 victories to mark the final one in the trilogy here tonight, says you've got to go and win all of them. You've got the squad to go and win all of those matches and to fight on all fronts. Now, out of all of them, I thought tonight was perhaps the most complete performance and the most impressive against the strongest opposition of the 3. Tottenham, statistically at least, are the best away team in the country right now. They didn't look like that tonight. Perhaps that was a little something on them, but I thought more so it was the way Newcastle took the game to them from the off. Now, was it perfect? No, it wasn't the perfect performance. When I say complete, don't think that I believe everything is okay now when Newcastle is going to go forward and steamroller teams. No, it wasn't that type of display. But what I will say is they scored goals when they were on top. And if you look back at what has gone wrong this season, if you like, because I've spoken a lot about Newcastle, or the lights aren't going out, are they? No, not quite yet. But the lawnmowers are closing in. The lights are going out. Right, okay. I've spoken a lot about Newcastle leaving behind points early in the season. Now, why did they do that? They did that because they didn't score goals at times when they're on top in matches. They started here tonight and you just felt the narrative might be going that way. Harvey Barnes missed one at the far post at 0-0 on about 12 minutes, I think it was, when Nick Woltemade, an outrageous piece of skill on the edge of the box there. It was almost like you combined Johan Cruyff and Diego Maradona in one. Found Harvey Barnes, he dragged it into the side net. And remember when Barnes missed a chance at the same end against Barcelona, when Newcastle didn't make the most of being on top in that period? They were up against a good team that night and Barca came back to win. Spurs are a good team, we're good players, we saw that. They had moments tonight, and Aaron Ramsdale's made an absolutely incredible save in the second half at 1-0. We'll get to the merit stars, by the way. But the point I was in the middle of making was that Newcastle started well. They started on the front foot. I looked at the team sheet before the game. Newcastle 8 changes, Tottenham 4. I thought it was 1-0 to Spurs in terms of the team selection. And part of me thought that if Eddie Howe had known Spurs were going to name the team he did, he might have gone back and named a little bit of a stronger team himself, even though the 11 on paper was still good. You know, it wasn't bringing in the kids, even though there were 8 changes. It wasn't massively unrecognisable from a team who might have played in a Premier League game. But had that been a league match tonight, he would have named a different 11. That is indisputable. Nonetheless, that's on paper. On grass, they came out the stronger team. Jacob Ramsey, really bright, on the front foot from the off. Anthony Elanga, seeing a lot of the ball. Likewise, Harvey Barnes. I'd still like to see more of Nick Woltemade having touches and involvement in the penalty area, and that was one. We won't call it a criticism yet, we'll call it an observation, because as we'll get to in the second half, he does score a goal, and you know, a lot of his work, his good work, it is good, he's doing nothing wrong, he's just not yet seeing enough of it and doing enough of it in the penalty area. And I know you might come back and say, well, you can't do much more than 6 shots on target, 6 goals, but the point I make is Newcastle went the first 25 minutes there playing really well without scoring, and Woltemade in that time didn't touch the ball in the penalty area. Anyway, that's an observation for now and something to work on. But what they did was they found a way to score during that period of superiority, and it came from a corner. Now, Jed Spence was complaining that his lace wasn't done. Well, yeah, just as he'd completed the bow and was up on his feet, Sandro Tonali, and he's got every right to do this, took the corner as quickly as he could. If you're going to tie your lace, Jed Spence, and you want to be in position, why not do it in the penalty area, so when you do pop up, you're there marking your man, and his man of all men was Fabian Schar. But in taking so long to tie his lace and being out of position, it left Spurs in knots in the penalty area. Tonali delivers brilliant outswinging ball, and Fabian Schar makes the most of his mind-eyes marker not being there. He would have known it was Jed Spence from earlier corners, climbs to head it in. That's 1-0. But Newcastle then did become sloppy. So while I think that this performance was probably their best, most complete of the season against a good team, I've said that earlier in the video, they did come slightly off it, and that has become a little bit of a habit when they go 1-0 up. We saw it against Fulham here on Saturday, passes started to go a little bit awry. They dropped off, and Spurs, a team who had really no right to be in the game at that point, given how much better and quicker and stronger Newcastle were than them during the opening period, they gradually came back into it. And going into, says Joe Willock, leaving there below. We'll get to Joe Willock, because when he was named in the starting 11, I thought it was a little bit of a surprise. Willock's last start was down at Bournemouth when he played his way out of the team that day. But Willock came in today, and while he's in shot, he was very good. I was very pleasantly surprised with how athletic he was, given that time out of the team. He hasn't even been getting on off the bench, but he came in, and yeah, that just shows that there's life in him yet, and he is a good squad player. Again, you know, I'd use the phrase pleasantly surprised. Was he back to the levels of Joe Willock where he can be, or where he has been a couple of seasons ago? No, he hasn't. He's been really affected by injury, but that was his best game of the season by a distance. He gets the assist there in the second half. But as I was saying, we're going into half time. Yeah, Tottenham are coming back into the game, and at the break, even though you would say on the balance of the opening 45 minutes, Newcastle deservedly lead and are the better team with the better players, it just felt in the balance a little bit at half time, didn't it? But then, who's that leaving there now? It's big Nick Woltemade. I'm going to stop talking, because it's better looking at Nick than listening to me. There he is, getting a photo with, it looks like his pal. There they are. Just watch Nick, don't listen to me. We'll get Nick Woltemade's goal very quickly. In fact, why not now? So the second half starts. In Newcastle, they started strongly, like they do the first. They're on the front foot, and you're thinking, right, okay, it's 1-0, and with a game of balance, I'm going to test my balance here. Is he waving at me? No, he's waving at the guys up there in the box, who are quite zealously and enthusiastically screaming his name, and so they should. Now they're apologising. There you go. They can have a little cameo in the video. Nothing to apologise for. Am I waving? Yeah, there you go, I'm waving. Okay, where was I? Nick Woltemade. So, Newcastle start the second half well, and you're thinking, okay, well, it's in the balance this game. Go and get another goal when you're on top. Again, something they haven't done so far this season. Enough of that. But they go and they do it. Malick takes Newcastle upfield, does brilliantly, and then it drops to Willock, who we've already spoken about, and he hangs the cross. Now, Nick Woltemade doesn't even have to jump. It's all about the cleverness and the know-how of his positioning to get there. Now, the goalkeeper Kinski should have an advantage, given he's got a fist and an arm which extends more than Woltemade's 6'6", as there leaves Malick. We'll just go through them as they leave. There's Malick, his part in that goal. Now, someone said to me afterwards, what are we not seeing? What is the weakness that meant Newcastle got him for £35 million? What is the weakness that meant Newcastle were unopposed virtually in signing Malick? I said to my colleague, well, if there is one, I haven't yet seen it. If he did arrive with one, Newcastle staff have identified it and they've stamped it out already. He was tremendous here tonight. And here's a spoiler. It doesn't make them merit stars. I'll give you an early one on that, but I'll take this opportunity to mention him. I thought Thiaw is just, there is no weakness. A moment there, you can capture that. There's Thiaw and Nick Woltemade together. Nick Woltemade, being the nice, pleasant chap he is, saying hello to what looks like, yeah, Thiaw's young, it looks like a baby in the pram, yeah. Nick Woltemade, what a guy. So Nick Woltemade climbs and just steers it into the, and what by this point is an unguarded net, given Kinski's come, has got nowhere near it, and Woltemade has done well to sort of pin and muscle Sandro out the way. That's 2-0, and at that point the result is never really in doubt. But even still, a word for Ramsdale here, because at 1-0 he makes the brilliant save from Schar. Then at 2-0, when 2-1 might have made it a little bit nervy, he makes that brilliant save round the corner from Joe Linton. I'm actually getting a little bit of breaking news through here now, guys, on the screen. Now, this won't be breaking news by the time you watch this video, but it is important to jump in here. Newcastle have been drawn at home to Fulham in the quarter-final, which for me now, in these reflections, just amplifies and magnifies and multiplies the importance and the significance of this victory. I said before the game that this out of 3 home matches was arguably the biggest because of what a Carabao Cup energises Newcastle's seasons. Look at the 2 years they've made the final. They've made it through and qualified for the Champions League by finishing the top 4, top 5 on the back of it. And I think it can do that this year. And didn't those substitutions in the second half just tell you that Newcastle are better placed now to go further in these competitions? They actually need the games to afford minutes to Harvey Barnes, Anthony Elanga, Emil Kraft, Joe Willock, Jacob Ramsey. Stay in the competition, have more matches, maintain that intrigue, that interest. Newcastle traditionally, they're a cup team. They are. There's always been something about a cup run in these parts that just lends itself to feel good and momentum. That is why I placed such great stock on going through here tonight and being stood here now with Newcastle beating a good team in Tottenham by playing well, another clean sheet, by making 3 home wins from 3. Doesn't it just feel as if the club, all of a sudden, the team, everything around the place is just in a better place, if you like. Then coupled with the big breaking news that they've drawn Fulham at home in the quarter-final. They beat Fulham here on Saturday in the Premier League. I think they'll go and do the same again in the Carabao Cup now. And that will then place them in a 2-legged semi-final. And wow, doesn't that just create again a whole new buzz around the Carabao Cup, around the Champions League, the season, just everything. That's why tonight was so important, and the manner of the victory and the way in which they went about it. I thought it was Sting there. Sting was here tonight in Alan Shearer's box. It's not Sting. If it was, I would have swung around by now. Yeah, who's going to be next? Who's next for the cameo? In the second half, as the game went away, Newcastle were just firmly in control. It was the cameos coming on again. Bruno, Gordon, just shows the strength they've got there right now. And it was, come the end, it felt like a complete performance. And Eddie afterwards spoke with us and he praised the spirit and the determination. And when I dared to go there, mentioning again the question which I laughed at yesterday about the great debate, he said, yeah, how's that debate coming on in your mind, Craig? Yeah, it probably only does exist in my mind. But he said, I thought this was telling, tonight was perhaps the biggest acid test of all 3 because of the changes they made. How would the players answer that? Well, boy, did they answer it. And let's look now at the individuals within that who really did step up. And let's look at the merit stars. And beyond that, I'll talk with some others who didn't make the podium. 1 star, well, that goes to Big Dan Burn. And he's on there, not just for tonight, but for everything that has come leading to this point. Now, there has been some noise online inevitably, and I've spoken about this previously, so I won't go too much over old ground, about Dan Burn at left back and opposition teams targeting him. Well, yes, they're going to. He's a 6'7" centre back who isn't the quickest left back in the division, but he's playing there because his team needs him, because his manager needs him, because the club needs him, his teammates need him. And every week he's going game on game now. And out of all the performances from them all, this is perhaps why I want to recognise it, for the accumulation of it, but also the performance individually tonight. In the air, he was imperious. He won headers defensively that were important. He won flicks from an attacking perspective as well. He was good on the floor. He got forward. He distributed it well. He was big. He was strong. He tackled. Dan Burn, 1 star. 2 stars, Aaron Ramsdale. Now he's coming tonight for a goalkeeper, Nick Pope, who is in the form of his life. But Ramsdale has made him that. Nick Pope, for me, didn't play this well when he had different goalkeepers breathing down his neck. For the presence of Ramsdale, Pope is better. But for the presence of Ramsdale, the team is also better too when he comes in. His distribution, he pinged 1 ball out with the left that Fabian Schar would have been proud of. Absolutely brilliant. With either foot, he's comfortable. But he was also there to do what goalkeepers are there to do. And when the team needed it, especially that one at 1-0, at the Leazer's end there from Papi Schar early in the second half. What a great save. Low down. He looked impassable tonight. Arsenal fans, well, no, there's Sven Botman. Sven Botman didn't get on tonight. Sensible decision, leaving him out, given the head injury. Who goes after him? Nick Pope, another one who didn't get on. We talk about the strength and depth from the bench. As much those walking away, the subs unused. That exemplifies that. Yeah, I called them the Arsenal fans there. No, they weren't. They were the Tottenham fans. The Tottenham fans booed former Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale before the game. He had the last laugh. I thought Ramsdale was brilliant. And wow, how well stocked Newcastle are in the goalkeeping department right now. And the 3 stars, not for the first time this season. Won't be the last. In fact, I think it's probably about the 7th time this season. The 3 go to Sandro Tonali. He's had a pretty nasty illness the past 10 days or so. Wasn't at his best down at Brighton because of it. Then came out with the team, came on against Fulham on Saturday. As soon as he comes on against Fulham, he's the one, as much as the game changers further up the field, who for me just added that class and composure. And the team are better for Tonali being there. In the second half, that was just like a show reel, a showcase. It was exhibition stuff. There was one foot race with Xavi Simons, where Xavi Simons, it was quite comical. He just gave up because he knew he wasn't going to beat Sandro Tonali. So much quicker and stronger was he. The manner in which he rolls his foot over the ball, he teases little passes around, he plays the 1-2, he goes, he gets it, he goes again. He's just incredible. There we go, there's Kieran Trippier. down there, one of those who came on in the second half. Emil Kraft came in for Trippier. Again, I said in the pre-match video he would be steady, and steady he was. Trippier's in a good run right now as well. We don't talk as much about Kieran Trippier anymore. Goodness, I spent his first 2 seasons talking about nobody but 34, 35 now. What a player to have to come back into that strongest 11. But anyway, we were talking about Sandro Tonali, a player I do talk an awful lot about. And he is a midfielder, an Italian with style and substance. And he's just incredible. He was, if you give him merit marks, we give the merit stars, the 3 out of 10. If you're converting that into marks, what was he tonight? 8.5? 9 out of 10. He was the best midfielder, he was the best footballer on the pitch. Just a demonstration in his class and superiority. So 3 stars, there go to Sandro Tonali. And I'm going to go through this in one take, I think. And I want to, because it's getting late and I've got to get home and sit down and get a beer and edit it and post it, hopefully before midnight. That's the aim. So to wrap up, Newcastle played well. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. There's still things to work on. They played well enough in periods to score more than the 2 goals. Harvey Barnes has missed a couple of chances, but what I'd say is we're not stood here now talking about those missed chances as a point of regret for Newcastle. Can Nick Woltemade get in the area and score more goals? Yes, he can. He's now scored with 6 shots on target. That is still unsustainable for me. I don't know whether yet you look at that and say, is it on Woltemade or is it on those around him to involve him more in the box? But is he playing well? Yes, he is playing well. Is he scoring goals? Yes, he is. Has he got character and charisma? Yes, he's got all of that. So it's okay. Everything is good. Newcastle feel in a really good place. Certainly far stronger than they were. What was it? Than 8-9 days ago when they were beaten down at Brighton. And I posted the video, what's up with Newcastle? Kieran Trippier has just shouted there, come on Craig, it's time to go home. And it is time to go home. And if Kieran Trippier is telling me that, I'll take it, as there goes Joe Linton. So that's it for now, guys. Please comment below the line. How do you feel about Newcastle after 3 wins in 8 days at home here, going into the weekend down at West Ham? Another huge game. They haven't won away from home yet this season. That's what in the league. That's what they've got to go and convert on now. We've seen why they should be far higher than 11th in the Premier League. So I'd throw that back at them. But certainly with players coming back to fitness, Lewis Hall perhaps at the weekend as well, I'm stood here now talking far more positively and optimistically as Bruno's dad comes down there behind us, Dick. So Bruno's going to probably appear on camera any second now, maybe worth waiting. There's Aaron Ramsdale. He goes as well. What a performance. So I will take this time to wrap up on the advice of Kieran Trippier, just as the lawnmowers close in as well. That seems like a really good time. So there you go, guys. Newcastle, 3 wins in just over a week, into the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, at home to Fulham. Couldn't have had a better draw really in that. At home to anyone, but certainly a team who they've just beaten recently as well. So yeah, guys, everything's up and up. Please hit like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back at the end of the week looking ahead to West Ham. And we'll finish with there you go, Dick Gamores. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.